Hi, everybody. I'm sitting here with Baptiste Brossard-Kimmel, the Managing Director of Effigy Consulting. Baptiste, it's a pleasure to see you again. And today we're talking about the UPS Q2 results, which have just come out. So the first question to you will be, what were the main takeaways or the main highlights for you in the UPS Q2 results for this year?
Yes, hello, Paul. Hi, everyone. So UPS Q2 results are somehow interesting as they reflect the transformation of the group. If you look at the revenue at the group level, the revenue grew. It grew by 7.6% at the group level. And this is largely driven by increase in the revenue per piece, as on the opposite, volume decreased by 3.6%. The volume decrease is partially explained by the completion of the cut in Amazon volume in the US. We have to understand that the US domestic market represent more than 80% of the volume of USPS Group. So impact on the US domestic market has an impact on the group. Where things become pretty interesting in the Q2 result is that the profit dropped quite heavily for minus 49%. And this is largely explained by the group and all the management team during the earning call with the cost of the transformation, mostly resulting from employee separation and building closure.
Mm-hmm. Right. So those are obviously some of the headline figures. Perhaps if we can take a slightly deeper look, if we look at the USA and the international business as the two main segments, what would you say were the main trends in the USA and the main trends internationally?
Yes, so let's start with the US domestic market for UPS. So the vast majority of their volume are from there. Once again, the major event for them in the US domestic is what they call the glide down reduction in Amazon volume. That's the major event for them, and it results in a decrease of 3.3% of the volume. Even with that, the revenue of the US domestic market increased for UPS, thanks to RPP increase of more than 9% on their domestic market. This is not only about price increase for USPS, it also reflects, where the growth has been. And typically, something very interesting in the Q2 result is that UPS has volume increase in the SMB segment in the US. They mentioned 4.3% growth in the SMB segment. This is pretty interesting for them because they have, if we compare the volume they lost from Amazon and the volume they gain from SMB segment, there is a clear yield increased for them because the revenue per piece are higher for this new segment. If we look at the international segment, here the RPP increase is far stronger. We are talking about nearly 19% increase in the revenue per piece. So it clearly compensates and largely compensates the decrease in volume that faced the UPS. Yeah. In terms of average daily volume, when it comes to international flows, the decrease in volume has been identified in both domestic markets, so it's outside of US, all the domestic market outside of US, and the export segment. Yeah.
Okay. What's interesting, I think, is if we think about the commercial strategy, as you already mentioned, UPS, they've finalized now their glide down of the Amazon volumes, which is a 50% cut in the Amazon volumes. And Amazon, of course, was their biggest customer in the US. And in parallel, they are now focusing, let's say, on other markets. So if we think about their overall commercial strategy, it looks like UPS has more now of a, let's say, a quality, not a quantity kind of approach. So how does this show up in the results, would you say? And perhaps specifically, which vertical markets is UPS increasingly focusing on now?
Yes, I mean, it's where it is the most visible is in the revenue per piece increase in the US with a high single digit and in a double digit increase in the international segment. So that's very clear, and it's not only because of price increase. It's also reflect the mixed product they have, and they are focusing on more profitable verticals, more profitable segments on their side. So that's clear, and I think it's quite correlated to what all the management team mentioned during the earning call of the Q2 about their investment on technology-oriented capabilities. They mentioned RFID, they mentioned AI technologies across the network. This really sounds as assets and even prerequisite for addressing segments such as healthcare, life science, and that's clearly what they are targeted. So yes, definitely the results confirm that position with the price increase, the evolution of the mix in terms of the client mix, and investment in technologies that make them available to address these new segments and these new verticals.
Right. If we look ahead a little bit, it's the start of a long process, of course. If this is let's say new or a refined commercial approach that UPS has now, they're going to be talking to clients, trying to win new business. So what does the outlook look like for UPS in the coming months and for the rest of 2026, would you say?
Yes. So in terms of outlook, and maybe let's first start with the geographical scope and where the opportunities are for UPS. First, they mentioned Asia. There was a statement about Asia to Asia trade lanes, and that this trade lane increased by more than 13% in terms of volume. So it definitely reflects the momentum of the region, but also the capabilities of UPS in that region. So definitely we can expect as an outlook that this region will be an era of investment and improvement for UPS. Second, they mentioned also recovery and volume recovery on the China to US lane. UPS is definitely not the only player on that trade lane, but of course there is quite a lot of volume that is in that trade lane. So it was interesting to identify that they identified volume recovery on that typical trade lanes, and that could be a good signal for the market. In terms of results and how do they forecast themselves? I mean, for now, what the company forecasted for the future, it sounds pretty aligned with what they are now, meaning that a revenue increase for the US pretty stable, and they mentioned a revenue for the US domestic around a 1% increase, so pretty stable on a year-over-year. And they mentioned a mid-single digit for the international segment.
Okay, so I think perhaps summing up therefore, it sounds like it's work in progress. They've identified some of their plans, their strategies on the commercial and also operational side with the investments. But it sounds like UPS still has plenty to do in the next few months. Would you agree with that as a summary?
Yes, exactly. I mean, the result reflects, the transformation of the group and the investment they have done. It has affected for now the profit of the company, but the strategy sounds pretty clear for the group now, and where they want to expand in the future.
Great, Baptiste. Well, I think let's leave it there. and we'll obviously all watch with interest to see how UPS progresses in the coming months with their various activities. So thanks once again for this discussion, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Bye-bye. Thank you.